Okay, welcome to a video talking about how to get good aim. Now, we're going to start from the very basics. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics in this video, so if you really want to learn, then this is definitely the video for you. So, I want to talk about first of all the difference between practicing your aim and warming up. Now, you can use this map Aimbots, which is very well known by everyone. I like this one, and by the way, all of the maps in this video I'm going to link in the description, and also I'll show you how to use a community workshop if you've not used it before. So first things first, right? Practicing versus warming up. Now, warming up is when you hop on for those first 15-20 minutes at the start of the day, and you just want to loosen up your wrist and get ready for, making sure that you're able to play your best when it comes to aiming when you hop into that first game of matchmaking, right? So a good way to warm up is use this map, of course, like I already mentioned, and then there's also community server deathmatch servers, which I think are really useful as well. But that's not what I want to focus on in this video. In this video, I want to talk about practicing your aim. And this is about carving out a chunk of time during the day and saying to yourself, I am focused entirely on just improving this particular aspect of my aim and how that contributes to your overall aim. Because there are a lot of different aiming mechanics and ways, situational ways that you can apply each one of them, right? So I have a list here quickly that I'm going to bring up for myself, and I'll put them on the screen for you guys. So here you go. So we've talked about practicing versus warming up. Now, watching pros actually helps a lot is a point I want to make, because professional players have obviously the best aim out there. And by watching them, you can actually pick up quite a lot without realizing it. The most important thing I think you pick up by doing that is crosshair placement. And just when you walk around the map, the right place to have your crosshair at all times, right? So that's a big thing. Next time you're watching some pros, or even just bring up a match yourself on a particular map where you think you have bad crosshair placement, and just watch a pro go through an area of the map and see where he has his crosshair and what he's looking at. Really simple thing to do and learn. Right, now, the different aiming mechanics here. So, spraying, of course, flicking, counter-strafing, so stopping when you see an enemy or stopping in expectation of seeing an enemy. Tracking, crosshair placement, like I just mentioned, range management, so that's the distance that you want to spray at versus tap at, peeker's advantage, and right-eyed peaks, and how you can use peeker's advantage and your right-eyed peaks to your advantage to win you fights in certain situations. Alright, so we'll flick back to the game. So first, I want to talk about spraying, right? So, we'll hop over to Aimbots, sorry, not Aimbots, we'll hop over to the Recoil Master map, which I like, and I'll show you. So, spraying 101, how to improve your spray on each gun, and how to really practice it properly. Now, this map is called Recoil Master. Again, I'll put it in the description for everyone. So, what it does essentially is it displays you the spray of each gun. You can cycle through, each one is different. The Bison spray probably isn't at the top of your list of things to practice, but we'll go with the AK. And first we'll demonstrate what this is visualizing is essentially the opposite to what you've just seen there. When I make no effort to control the spray, it does this shape. And this is the shape to counter that and the process of bullets that it goes through. Firstly, I'd recommend for new players to not try and learn the full 30 bullet spray. Just start off with something like 10. And you see the pattern here in front of you. You've got literally 4 bullets straight down, then sort of 3 bullets to the right, and then it pulls left. So you just want to practice those 10 bullets. And see how I can consistently do these 10 bullets, or I did 8 there. 8's even better. If you can kill them within 8 bullets, then you've done your job with the spray, right? So I would recommend just coming onto this map for half an hour and just doing nothing but sprays. Sprays. All different lengths of sprays. Try all the different guns. And you can even play around with the range here. Okay? So this is definitely, in my opinion, the best map and the best way to practice your spraying. And a little bonus here I'll throw in for you. This is the guy's name who makes the map, wholistic. But you can also grab yourself a nice knife. I like the M9 bayonet personally. I'm an M9 guy. So you can have fun, you know, kill some chickens. But the main thing is just do as many of these sprays as you can. Make sure you can commit a certain amount of time to doing it. And also, when you're doing it, something that I want to talk about is just like thinking about the muscles in your forearm and how they move while you're doing your spray. If you're doing it properly and you're practicing hard enough, you will feel the muscles in the forearm start to ache. And that's building new mind-muscle connections so that you can then be consistent and recreate this spray in a match without even having to think about it. That's all to do with just getting your brain and the muscles in your forearm to connect. But you don't have to think about what you're doing. You don't need this. You can just spray that and you can do it right, you know? And that's the level that you want to be able to get to is, I'm not saying mine, but in general, just being able to not have this in front of you and recreate a spray that's respectable to kill the guy in front of you within like 8 bullets. Because if it's been 8 bullets or longer, then you're probably dead. Like I say, they spawn far and they spawn close. So you want to think about how, if someone's that far away from you, are you confident that you're going to be able to hit, you know, a spray? Let's say you just want to body spray them. You just want to hit those first 4 bullets. Are you able to do that consistently at that range? If the answer is no, then probably you just want to be thinking about, right, just getting a couple of accurate bullets down range. Try and not to commit to the spray and try to keep just tapping as much as you can. You can throw in 2-bullet bursts, but remember, you have to give the optimal amount of time to let that spray reset. Because if I fire 2 bullets, the second one's not 100% accurate. The first one is if I've stopped, the second one is not. So if I want to think about the range and that second bullet, for example, if I fire any more than that, then the accuracy decreases. You want to be able to consistently shoot at range. So in order to do that, you fire 2 bullets, you stop for a split second to let that next bullet reset on the spray. Similar concept to how if I fired that amount of bullets, I need to wait a little bit longer for the spray to fully reset than if I just fired 2. If I fire 2, then I can shoot pretty accurately again. You know, fire 2 bullets, 3 bullets, I can shoot it pretty accurately, 100% accurate again, very quickly. But if I do this, you see how far away that was? The bullets, they reset one by one. Similar to how your spray gets further away one by one, the bullets reset one by one as well. And I don't know if that's something that everyone's ever talked about. Is the longer you spray, the longer it takes for the spray to reset. That should have been included in my spraying segment. Maybe I'll just like jigsaw all of this video together for you guys so it makes sense. Because I'm sort of just rambling at this point. So I have 2 maps to practice flicking. I like this one by Logitech G. This is Aim and Run by Logitech G. And also Aimbots as well is a real classic. First I'll talk about the Logitech G. First of all, there is a pre-fire mode, I'll talk about that later, and even a spray mode, but I prefer the other map. This one is a simple little, just a dot thing that you can just flick to. You can change the size of the dot. If it works. Maybe I have to go through a process of doing this first, because it gives you a little report at the end. So we'll do this, and hopefully any second now it will give us one of these. Right, now adjust the scale down to 0.5 if you want to make it so you do it for 50 seconds. And just, you know, try again, think about the muscles that you're moving in your wrists, you're moving in your forearms while you're doing these flicks, so that you can be consistent. So instead of you having to, you know, put the crosshair really slowly, and I would recommend trying this yourself, if you aren't able to hit them quickly, just slow down. Just grip the mouse properly and slow down and hit each target with 100% accuracy and slowly start to work your speed up until you can actually consistently flick to a small area like this one. For example, I've got it on 0.5 right now, and feel like you can do it, you know, consistently. So this is a great way to practice your all-around flicking here with no movement involved, nothing else involved. Simple flicking. Again, we'll go talk about aimbots now, and how aimbots is slightly different to flicking in all directions. With aimbots, what you're able to do is isolate the map up here, like so. So it's only a 90-degree angle. And what I'm focusing on with the aimbots is you see how they're all stood at normal height, normal head level. So what you can practice doing, instead of flicking left, right, up, down in all different diagonal directions, you practice a more consistent horizontal flick, which is essentially a lot of the time what you're doing in CS is you're keeping your crosshair at head level. So you have to be able to consistently swipe left and right at a complete horizontal, right? Their heads are at the exact same height. Doesn't matter how far away they are from you, as long as the floor is not, you know, slanted or at a different height to the where you're stood. Just keep your crosshair up and just flick horizontally and do it consistently. And you can even try big ones. So say you want to be able to quickly flick to a guy who's over here. You can try that, and then you can not drop your mouse in the process, but you can try and make a more distant flick as far away as accurately as you can, you know? And I'm not perfect, I'm not saying that I am, but I feel like this really helps me with my ability to consider. There are shots that you shouldn't be able to hit in CS, right? There are situations you shouldn't be able to find your way out of. And if you're able to just do stuff like rip a head off of someone, you know, because you've practiced these really quick horizontal flicks, you'll save yourself in situations where you shouldn't have won. Like, you know, like all the top players are able to do because they've practiced these things. So, counter-strafing is a weird one to practice because it's very situational, but I love a pre-fire map. So we're going to use the Logitech G1. You can even find individual map ones that I may be able to demonstrate afterwards, but we'll just go into the pre-fire for the Logitech one here. So what I'm trying to do here is practice my perfect counter-strafing so that I'm able to press the key to stop and shoot basically in the same millisecond. You come out, you clear all of your angles, you're sort of stopping in prediction for them being there, you know? I don't know exactly where these bots are going to be, I haven't played this map enough. But there are certain spots on every single map that you'll be able to get used to aiming. So maybe, in fact, I'll go over to a map-specific one, which would give you a better explanation of what I'm going for here. So this one is Ancient Aim Course, and I think, yeah, this is more like it. So it's just going to be a more simplistic, randomized bots. You just got to be just stopping in the area where you think they're going to come onto your screen. Clear each predictable angle that you're used to clearing, and this will become second nature as you do this more and more. You'll know where to look, you'll know where to have your crosshair, and you'll know where to stop. And that is exactly what we're going for here. And then you throw that in with a combination of, you know, having consistent sprays, and also perhaps having the ability to make adjustments. If you come out and your crosshair's in the wrong place, you're able to quickly flick across. Am I going the right way? I don't know. Yes, I am. So, yeah, you're getting it, I'm sure. You just come through. You want to check absolutely everything. And again, not with one motion. This is a stop-start thing. Pros do not sweep their angles unless they're in a hurry, or they've got someone, like I say, behind them who's definitely going to trade them. The person behind them will be doing this. Just checking. You know? Everything. But anyway, that's about counter-strafing, that's about crosshair placement, and just pre-fire maps, right? Here's how I like to practice my tracking, and it's actually really basic. You use the aimbots map that I've already showed you for it. And you can do the 90-degree thing as well. Here, if you look up at the menu appears, you put AD on, and you'll notice that they start doing a little jig. And you can make them look at you as well, which makes it slightly more realistic. And then sometimes you can even, if you think that, you know, they're never looking at you when you're shooting at them, I don't know what the hell this is. Follow the ball and all of that kind of random stuff. Spin. Okay, so maybe you could even try this. So you're attempting to just track them as they left, right, AD. You're getting used to the speed that they move across your screen and keeping your crosshair, again, at that horizontal level, right? You've got to keep it at the same height at all times. And you just following the heads. Obviously, the further away they are, the less you have to move your crosshair, right? So it's about the difference between tracking someone who's all the way over there versus flicking to this guy in front of you who's moving sometimes across your screen. It feels like at 1,000 miles an hour. Another good way that you can use this sort of movement... I'm going to stop them spinning, it's annoying me. Right, now they're all just looking at me, which is probably more realistic. Another thing you can do here, talking about counter-strafing, I guess, is just try to track their strafe. As they move, strafe with them. You'll find you have to use less movement of your wrist and crosshair to adapt to where they are if you're also moving with them. See? Really simple to keep yourself in the right area. Okay, I'm whiffing now, but you get it, right? Keep the crosshair up. Try and sometimes move with them if you want to practice your counter-strafing, stopping at the right time to get that headshot at the right second. But also just simply coming in here and just doing this. Practicing this movement. Again, it's about how you feel your arm. You'll feel it in the arm. Once you've done it long enough, you'll see how you're moving your wrist, how you're moving your forearm or your elbow. Tracking, simple as that. Practice it, simple as that. Okay, so talking about right-eyed peaks and peeker's advantage. So let me give an example of a right-eyed and a left-eyed peak for you. So we'll take this corner here. Now, the surface that I'm peeking from is on my left. Therefore, this is a right-eyed peak. I'm peeking, I'm moving to the right. I'm pressing my D key to peek. Right-eyed peak. Adversely, a left-eyed peak is when you're on the left-hand side of your surface, right? And in situations like this, you'll find, and this is just purely from experience that you'll learn this, when you come out from a right-eyed peak, less of your body will show as you swing out compared to this. If you swing out from a left-eyed peak, your foot and your leg and your elbow start to be visible much earlier than if you peek out from a right. It's just the way that the character model is designed in CS. It was the same in CSGO, it's the same in CS2. Now, you take a combination of that, what I just mentioned, and then you apply it to also a peeker's advantage. Now, you can get peeker's advantage from both sides. It's not a case of a left-eyed or a right-eyed peak, but peeker's advantage is about using the ping difference between you and the person who's holding the angle to give yourself an advantage and seeing them before they see you. So the way I practice it if I put these door walls frames up, you can see this guy here behind here. Let's say I don't know he's there, but my crosshair placement is good and I've been doing my pre-fire maps, right? So I know where to aim, so I'm ready. So in a situation, I come out and just do that to that guy. On his screen, it looks like I running headshot him. He saw me for less than, let's say, 200 milliseconds. Not enough time to react to me. Let's put it that way. And that's simply because a combination of a right-eyed peak and a peeker's advantage. Now, there are a lot of different angles on every single map where you can do what I've just said. A combination of a right-eyed peak and a peeker's advantage is always the strongest peak that you can have. However, you need to make sure of a couple of things. First of all, crosshair placement, can't talk about it enough. Second of all, we talk about velocity. Right, I apologise for all the jump cuts. I was going to show you about a velocity command, but I couldn't find it. If you guys can find it online, there should be still one where essentially it shows you how fast you're moving in the top left, but I'll just demonstrate what I want to talk about. If the guy that I'm peeking is on I don't have to move very much, then I don't get enough time to get up to full running speed. It takes a couple, maybe half a second to get up to full running speed. So in order to really use this peeker's advantage and this right-eye peek that I'm talking about, or even left-eye peek, this is useful for getting up to velocity. But you want to make sure that you're at the maximum speed that you can be travelling before you come into contact with that player. And the way that you do this is instead of sort of, yeah, I don't know, doing short peeks, let's say, like this, little short peeks, which you do have to do sometimes, but you want to avoid doing. You want to do a more whole long peek so that you come out at a good speed. You've given yourself that time to get up to speed before you stop and shoot. Otherwise, you come out and it sort of looks like you could have been, you know, shift walking because of how slow you've come around the corner. Makes you a lot harder to hit if you give yourself that extra half second. Get up to speed, hit that headshot. So that's really all I wanted to talk about. Emphasis again on the right eye peek plus the peeker's advantage, getting up to speed. These types of fights are the ones where you watch pros get their heads ripped off at instant reaction. And although, yes, it is very efficient from the person who's hit the shot, from the other person's perspective, if it's done perfectly, sometimes you really don't even have a chance to react. And that's the way that you can consistently win fights, just taking really fast right eye peeks, using that advantage as much as you can. So yeah, overall, I hope I've talked about enough to give you some work to do to improve your aim. You can really apply all of these concepts. I may have rambled through a couple of topics. I'm sorry, making these videos is still sort of new to me, but I hope that you can take this information and apply it, and I hope that it can make you a better player. Thank you for watching.